I'm in the wine cellar with Bob Betz. We're going to speak with him for a few minutes about their whole winemaking process from the vineyards all the way here into the winery and winemaking. First of all, we had this conversation a little bit earlier, Bob, about the relationship that you and other winemakers have with vineyard owners, because most of you resource your grapes from very high quality vineyards all through Walla Walla and Yakima. Does that provide some challenges for you, and how intricately involved are you from vintage to vintage in being there from time to time in the vineyards, working with the vineyard owner?
It's very intimate. Over the years, we've built up relationships with growers on specific vineyard sites across the Columbia Valley that have really paid dividends. And what you see around here in the barrel room is the result of those relationships. We have 4 criteria that we use to define where we get fruit: a great site, a smart grower, a high work ethic, and finally, and possibly the most important, is that they allow us to carve out a geographic area. These 2 rows, this half acre, this block, or whatever it might be, farmed specifically for Betz family to our standards, and we only get fruit from those geographic areas that we farm, regardless of the vintage, and only we get fruit from those rows.
Sounds like Burgundy.
Well, it is, yeah, it is, and it's got to be, and we end up with the fruit that we want, despite the price. Our price is really Napa Valley pricing that we pay from Betz family versus the average in the Columbia Valley, but we get the fruit that we want, and then we pray that we don't mess it up, because we get great fruit. Our relationship with the growers is very intimate. We walk the vineyards, we kick dirt, we talk about the protocols. Every spring we meet with every one of our growers and say, what did we do right last year? What did we do wrong? How can we get better this year? We plot out our strategy for the year, and then we go back and forth from the winery to the vineyard, vineyard to the winery, and monitor, decide, collaborate, and help farm that land.
Is there a certain philosophy dealing with yields from the vineyards?
Yes. People love to harp on the concept of low yields, and low yields are good. My issue is balanced yields. And by balance, I mean a balance between the vintage, the vegetative growth on the vine that year, and the crop load.
Once the grapes are back here, de-stemming all the time? Or?
Not always. It depends on, once again, the variety and the vintage and how those grapes look. But we've got enough equipment that we have the opportunity to decide on the spot. We go through, we taste the clusters, we taste the berries, we take our notes, we make decisions and say, okay, this particular block of Syrah, we'd like to have 25% stems, 75% destemmed. Okay, we'll make that. Cabernet, a little tougher. Cabernet Sauvignon, I typically destem everything. But following that destemming, we have a lot of sorting procedures to pull out stuff that you don't want going into the fermenter. So we use a 3-step sorting process that includes a shaker table where little pieces of debris, little leaf particles, etc., stems, etc., fall through and the grapes roll on, to a sorting table where you've got a team of people picking out the rest of it. But in between, we've got an air knife that the grapes tumble off of the shaker table onto the sorting table, and they go through this blade of air that cuts across them and blows off any little pieces of dry brown leaves, etc. So we go through this 3-step process, and it gives us beautiful fruit going into the fermenter.
Take me through the rest of the process, if you would, in terms of once the grapes are sorted, going from there into barrel and into bottle.
It's pretty easy. The processing happens fairly quickly, from the hopper to the destemming to the 3-step sorting, and then they go into the fermenter. At Betz Family, we use gravity to move grapes, crushed grapes, the whole clusters, the crushed grapes, the juice that goes into the skins that go into the press. Everything is moved by gravity for us. We don't have a tiered cellar, so we do it by forklift. We simply lift up the appropriate bin and dump it into the adjoining bin, into the press, whatever it might be. Everything is done by gravity because I think what we call must pumps that move these big volumes of grapes and skins and all of that stuff from one spot to the other, has this potential to shear seeds. And seeds give you those bitter, hard phenolics. So we move everything by gravity, put it into small fermenters. We attack the fermenter on a daily basis over a fairly short 8 to 12 day period, depending on the vintage and variety, where we punch down, we pump over, we mix, and by those I mean we mix the juice, which is now becoming wine, and the skins where all the color and flavor is. We mix them twice a day typically, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending. And then we go to press. And we go directly from press to the barrels that you see here.
These wine barrels, it's a French wine barrels?
100% French at Betz family.
Once the wine comes out of barrel in bottle, for how long will it be there before you'll release a given vintage?
Just about a year. We typically age our Bordeaux wines about 16 to 18 months in barrel before bottling, and then a year after that we'll release them. For our Syrahs and our Southern Rhone varieties, it's typically about 11 months in barrel and then a year's worth of bottle aging before release.